welcome to the Dancing Bear Enlightenment Academy Holistic Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Beverly, and today we have Maribeth Decker. She is an intuitive animal communicator, medical intuitive, and energy healer. She founded Sacred Grove LLC, an online program where she helps others with their animals, and people and pets heal and connect. She works with pet guardians who dearly love their animals yet face tough issues. Today, she will talk to us about increasing the bond with your animal. Welcome, Maribeth.
Thank you, Dr. Beverly. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here to get to talk about animals, our lovely companions.
Yes, and what would we do without them?
Exactly.
So I'm really curious to learn more. How did you become an animal communicator? Most people have some kind of story to tell us about how this started. So share yours with us, if you will.
Yeah, I love it. I have to say I love telling my story because it surprised me. I did not, I would not have called myself an animal communicator. As a child, I loved animals. I did have a few experiences now that I look back, but that wasn't something that I was on my radar. And so I finished 2 careers. I retired in the Navy, and then I worked in an association. And at the end of the association time, um, I started getting a strong urge to branch out, and what was calling me was massage. So we're still not to animal communication. I get it, but when we started doing the massage, I met someone who was teaching energy healing, specifically Reiki, and I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And I became a Reiki master, and I took other energy courses, energy healing, all kinds of stuff. Loved it. That's when my dogs started communicating with me. And that's the way it came through. And the first two interactions were with two dogs who had passed on. We were talking about being in Hawaii before we started. And my dog, Timmy, who we picked up, he was a poi dog in Hawaii, picked him up from St. Timothy's of Iea Church. So his name was St. Timothy of Iea. I'm glad you're laughing. He, out of the corner of my eye, when I was in the kitchen, I saw him sitting in the dining room, and here in Alexandria, Virginia, and he was fully present. He looked like it was my dog. I got over there, I could touch him, I could hug him, I could do all that great stuff with him. So I whipped my head around and said, "Timmy," and he was gone. It was so short but so powerful. He immediately, in those very short seconds, showed me the truth that he survived death as a personality. He was really happy. He had the one ear down, one ear up, one ear down look that he always had with a big grin. And, he came back, or he came through, however you call it, to let me know he was doing okay. So that was like, wow, that's great. Got to finish dinner for the kids. That was where I was at. Then I had another experience with my dog, Eddie, a girl dog that the kids named. And she passed away just before I had to get on a plane to staff an annual meeting for the association I was in. And I was really bereft. It was a terrible place to be. And you can't be that person when you're staffing a meeting. They want joy and happiness and excitement. I will say it the way it has been experienced. She accompanied me on the plane. I usually sit on the window seat. I was on the aisle seat, and felt like she was right there on the sitting in the aisle. And it was so crazy. I was petting her, So I can imagine people saying, "What is that woman doing? She's just waving her hand while I'm petting my dog, darn it." So she stuck around with me for a while so I could get my act together, and it was such a gift. And it shifted over to dogs who are still here on the planet. And the guy that got me started in animal communication was my dog Tibor. He'd come from a really tough background. You don't have to be an animal communicator to know that somebody who's a year and a half shouldn't have broken teeth and scars and things like that. So something bad was there. He and I were sitting on the couch, and twice I would see a picture of a man training a dog, like a guard dog, with those thick clothes that you wear so the dog can come up and grab you and it doesn't hurt and things like that. Once was a fluke. The second time I looked at him and said, "What is going on with you?" So my good friend Mary said, "That's animal communication." I thought she was saying, like, "You dumb doofus, you." I said, "I didn't know that." And at that point, I said, "I'm going to get training to do it on purpose." And working with people and their animals, just, it was, it really touched my heart because people would come to an animal communicator. I mean, they love their animals if they come to an animal communicator.
Yeah.
And so I just fell in love with doing this. And that's how it got me started.
Yeah, I have an acupuncture practice, and when I had my big office, I would let people bring their animals, and I would work on mostly dogs. Cats, I'd just heal remotely with energy, but
Mhm.
dogs, I would bring them in. They'd bring them in, and I'd talk to them. And I use I have a light pen, so I would use light energy on them to heal them.
Nice.
They really respond to that nicely. Yeah. You either get into it by accident like me, or you need to study, but I never did study. Um, I just suddenly knew how.
I, I I would say that I am a natural studier. I loved studier. I loved school. I got 2 master's degrees, and so I guess maybe that's who I am. It's like I want to go find out what are the people doing? What do they teach? And so I would say that it gave me confidence that what I was doing was real. Maybe I put it that way. And that's probably something that I did need to know, that I'm just not making this stuff up.
Yeah,
Uh, you do enough work with people and they validate what you've shared. And that was really helpful for me.
that's true. Yeah, very, very true. So, if someone was interested in either being an animal communicator or just being able to communicate with their animal, what would you recommend for them?
Um, well, I do teach an animal communication course, You Connect. I focus it on people connecting with their own animals. If they want to be professionals, that's good. But I really like the idea of wonder what it would be like if every single one of us, let's say it this way, somebody in the family could communicate intuitively with their animals. How great would that be? So I'm interested in people who just want that extra piece of life and energy and understanding. So I do that. And if you want to start out yourself, I think part of it is increasing the bond in a very clear way. And one of the easiest things that you can do is to pay more attention to them. And what I mean by that is, this is something I noticed in myself and said, I got to change this, is don't treat them like furniture.
Mm,
You get so busy, you got humans, we got this huge to-do list that goes on for longer than we're alive. I mean, we just walk by them. I'd ask you to stop, acknowledge them as often as you can, make it like a habit, because that's going to increase the connection.
Mm-hmm.
They already have the ability. It's we humans that have to kind of start to listen in and to generate the both sides of the communication. And in that vein, if they're looking to you to connect, and it doesn't have to be animal communication, but for me, my cat Mac, he loved playing with balls. He's a cat. He would come to my office here, and he'd drop a ball in front of me and look up at me like, "Let's play." It was very clear. I didn't have to be an animal communicator to figure it out, right? But I would be really honest with him, saying, "Okay, yeah, I can take a break. Let's go chase that ball." Or, "Mac, you gotta wait." But anytime they ask for love and attention, if you can give it, give it. And the third one is really what I love more people to do is, especially with your dogs, if you take them outside and you're walking them, maybe don't play with your phone. Just be there in nature with your dogs, experiencing everything. I think of when my kids were really little and we took them to the park or something. It was just us and them. I'd watch my little 2-year-old son chase the birds, and I would call it bothering the birds. But there's a real opportunity there to be with them and bond with them and have our own version of outside in nature that I think is a lovely way to bring you closer to having that intuitive connection. So that's what I do in the any person can do this level. You can make some changes in your life. And so on the intuitive level, have a couple of good mindsets. Like the first one I said was they're already communicating or trying to communicate intuitively with you. We were talking about that earlier. If your animal, I have cats and dogs, if your cat or dog has stared at you intensely for long periods, I think they're saying, "I don't know how to send this any louder to you. Why don't you get this? Everybody else in the house that's got fur on gets it." So have the belief that their side of the equation is already working really good. And then know that we are set up to communicate intuitively. I believe it's both a physical and an energetic ability that we come into this world with. And if you remember my story, I didn't figure this out till much later in life, and I'm okay with that because I can say you don't have to start, at 2 years old and be a cat whisperer or sweat whisperer. You can do it now.
Yep.
And then with that, you get kind of quiet and listen. And like we were talking about before, you might ask a question and see what comes through. And it's really quick, usually. You might get a visual. With animals who live with us, I found from my experience, language is easier. You hear words easier. Wild animals, I get more visuals or sense of feeling from them. Or maybe you just get a knowing. Don't even doubt that. And if it comes through, when it comes through, you say, "Thank you so much. I'll take more of that," and start to look for opportunities. That's in a nutshell how you can start moving into that arena.
I think you hit the nail on the head earlier also, is look at their body language. They know our body language like my dog knows if we're about to go for a walk based on what shoes I put on. So when you learn, if they're staring at you, they're trying to send you a message. That's absolutely true. Because my dog is a talker, but when he sits there like this, I know, oh, I better stop and listen because he's telling me something.
That is surely it. Yeah, yeah. And the other thing that as I'm hearing you say that is a lot of us have already had this experience. Like we just know. I mean, I've heard so many people like say this that the dogs are in the backyard. You just have this funny feeling that they want to come in, and you don't hear them barking. They're not scratching or anything, and you go down and there they are at the door saying, "Oh, it just started raining. Get me in here," or whatever their version of that is. But if you think about it, most people have probably had that happen, and you can build on it.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
absolutely. And it isn't just dogs and cats, but horses,
no,
goats, and all the animals. I was at a petting zoo once, and everybody liked the little lambs and the little whatever, and there was a pot-bellied pig on the other side, and I thought he was beautiful. I looked at him, I said, "You're really beautiful," and he ran all the way across and stopped right in front of me, so I fed him. They know, they feel it.
they do know. Yep, I've had the same thing. I did some practice with animals that were in they were in a sanctuary, and we connected with them, and I got some stories that I just thought were incredible about the family dynamics with this group, and it felt very much like a husband and wife arguing over the kids, and one of the kids was quote unquote a teenager. So it was like, my goodness, I have been through that. And here it is, somebody, the same thing is going on where they're upset at each other. And what was fascinating to me was, in fact, they ended up, in human terms, we'd say they divorced, and the guy was they sent him to another sanctuary because they couldn't live together anymore. So you never know,
Yeah.
right? There's all, every species you can do that with. You're right. Thank you for pointing that out.
Last March, I had a dog that I'd had for a long, long time, and she was very visual. She sent a lot of images, and
Mhm.
she passed. And now I'd had some trauma. I won't go into my trauma with two previous dogs in the way that they went. One of them I had to put her down, and we won't go into that. And the next one had a stroke and she was gone. And I was pretty traumatized by both of those. And this little dog knew that. And she was really old. She had no teeth anymore, and she was half blind and no longer house trained, and she was deaf. And I know the vet wanted me to put her down, but she wasn't in pain. And she got to the point where one night she was across the room, and I looked at it. I always had to tell her if I was leaving the room because she couldn't see me and she didn't know where I was. So I would say, "I'm leaving now," unless I was coming right back. I'd say, "I'm leaving now," and then she'd follow me. So one night I'm looking at her, and I said, "Do you want me to put you down?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, do you want a treat?" And she had these big sparkly eyes, and she ran across the room, which she hadn't run in a long time. She took the little treat. She was so happy. And that night she went away in her sleep. And
Um,
she saved me from having to put her down. So talk a little bit about our geriatric animals and how we
oh
do
my
it.
goodness. Yeah, about a year ago, I had loss of 3 out of 5 of my animals. So
Oh,
I
wow.
oh, it- so as much as I do this, and I think the first thing that we all know if we've had more than one animal is it never gets easy. I don't think it ever will because we love them so much. You'd think I know what's going to happen. I know it doesn't matter. The grief is immense. I think that's the right word. It's immense for those that have been with us for that long. Um, So I rewrote my book Peace and Passing a couple, was it last year? It got printed finally. And I did that because one of the things I want to point out for us humans is that I've noticed that our grief starts the moment we either see a big decline in what our animals can do, or we get that diagnosis that says the end is coming. No, there's no out here, unless it's a miracle, and sometimes there are, but that's where the grief starts so much earlier. And I kind of focused at first about those last few, I don't know, weeks, months, and I went back to say, once you get that knowing, which you knew intellectually, but now you got it at the gut and the heart level, how do you manage it? The one thing that has helped me with mine, and I would recommend it, is it's a kind of a smart alecky phrase, but it kind of wakes us up. And if they could say, they'd say, "I'm not dead yet." Okay. Stop. Okay. Come back and be here with me now. And I think sometimes we need to hear that, is like, all right, yes, we know where we're going, and we're looking to see what we can do for them. But in the meantime, what they're experiencing is what's happening in their bodies and what's happening in their mind. They are not projecting to, generally, until maybe it's the end. Some of them know exactly what's, like you were talking about, they know what's going to go on. But most of them at those earlier phases, they're just dealing with life.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can stay in the now with them and enjoy the fact that we've got another day with them, even if they don't see or walk well, or they're wearing diapers, or all that stuff that some of us go through, and we still find the joy of having their bodies, their souls with us in the physical sense, we will get more out of it, and they will too. I don't think we can stop grieving, but the more effort we put into enjoying the fact that they're still here is good for them too. It's kind of revitalizing, I think. So that's the big thing. Then we look to be very flexible and say, well, what can we do to make their lives easier? Do we do some alternative therapies, acupuncture, certain medicines? Do we check their pain level, make sure they're really good? I got down to very basics. I have a 3-story townhouse. Do you put treads on the stairs so they don't fall anymore? Or maybe, do we take shorter walks because they still want to walk, but they can't do the 2 miles anymore. So those are some of the things that I suggest before even the question comes up of are you ready? Look at that stuff. What can you do? I gotta say, no, then one of the things I did that really made me happy is I even used to sing to my dog Stella, "Every day with Stella is a good day." I would sing it to her. And she kind of liked it, I think, and there was just that silliness and that love and that reconnection, reminding me that she's still around in the physical world.
Well, what are some of the other things we can do to develop that bond with our pets and our other animals?
I love doing what I call love fests, which is spending time with them, looking into their eyes, and just being the crazy person, telling them how much you love them, how much they've changed your life. What are all the lovely things that without them being there, you would miss? That's to me is a really good thing to do. And it's good for us too, because we get irritated at them, unless you're different from me. But there's sometimes that some things bother us, and then if we get back into the how much we love you, and this is why, that is really good. Touch is, unless they don't like it. Now, dogs generally love touch. Cats will tell you what they want and what they don't want. If you, okay,
Yeah, they don't
I got
always want to be touched.
I got no problem with that. I'll do it your way, but you figure out what makes them, what pleases them, and do it. My cat Bunny goes into the kitchen and she lays on her back and meows. So that time is to go over and scratch her ears.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, sometimes it's treats, but sometimes it's just tell me how beautiful I am and do it. So if you look for ways to tell them how great they are, how much, what a difference they make in their lives, that's a really big deal. And do a lot of physical, I think I'm repeating myself and I'm sorry, but the physical stuff that they like, that's really wonderful. Other bonds.
So understanding their body language is really important.
Yeah, yeah. What's working and what's not working. They'll tell you. Um, I I I learned how to massage people and I do it in my dogs. And if you there's some books out there you can do massage on them, especially if they get older. When people talk about just arthritis and pain, I think you're forgetting about the muscles tightening and becoming inflexible and how that makes everything worse. And if you can loosen those muscles up, but they'll tell you. If there are some great books out that will, and also videos that will show you how to do some massage. And if they're in a happy space, their eyes are going to go, as we say in the Navy, half mast,
Yeah.
and they'll just like look there like they're in la la land. If they don't like it, they will get a really strong stare at you. And one time my dog Mitsubishi, my husky, gently grabbed my hand with his mouth. He didn't bite me, but that was like, no, 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 that doesn't work for me. The other body language that made me laugh so hard is I would be massaging him and I had learned to do the inner thigh of his legs. And when we were on the couch, he would stick his back leg out at me like, it's time, get going there. You start looking for those. I mean, they're just so clear. You figure out what they like and you do it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that body language again. They'll let you know.
Yeah. My little boy loves his massages.
Oh
He
yeah.
comes and asks every morning. I give him a massage and then I give him one at night. And sometimes I'll do a little bit and then I'll stop and he'll take his paw and put it on my hand. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah, I'm getting my guys. I'm doing a little bit the cats. I can get their necks and a little bit down their shoulders, but and a little bit around here, and that's and it's a little tough beyond that. I tried just gentle stroking next to their spines, but you got to take it easy with those guys.
Yeah. Cats are different.
They're touchy. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
maybe yeah.
Yeah. That's really nice. So you have a gift for everybody, 5 things your pets want you to know. Tell us about your gift.
It's a short report of 5 things that I've found as an animal communicator, and it's lovely. It probably says a lot of the things we just talked about, but if you'd like it, I'd love you to you get it if you sign up for my newsletter. So it's a gift to you for for joining my newsletter.
Nice. So if you're on YouTube, I'll have the link down below. But if you're listening to the podcast, you can find that free gift at sacredgrove.com, SACREDGROVE, sacredgrove.com / the number 5 dash things dash tips. So it's sacredgrove.com / the number 5 dash things dash tips. Okay, do you have any closing words for us, Meredith?
Let's see.
Maribeth? Sorry.
That's all right. It's all right. It won't be the first or the last time. Yes, I always like to say this. I believe I understand the concept of soul families, where there's a bunch of souls that get together and they keep coming and working things out and playing different parts in different incarnations. So that's me, and I have decided, and I believe that our animals are also part of our soul family, and it just makes life a little more richer to see or to think about, what are we doing for them? What are they doing for us? What are we learning from them? What are they learning from us? There's another depth you can go into if you like.
I agree with that completely. Yeah. Well, it was great having you on. Of course, I could talk about animals all day. I love animals. So thank you so much for being with us today. And everyone, thank you for listening. And remember to be the light you want to see in the world.